But layoffs have always been happening. I think people need to understand that it's just because of the element tied to, yeah, and yes, you are cutting workforce, like there's no denying it. It is cutting workforce. People in the organizations, leaders are moving towards AI chatbots, AI related, call center supports, AI related um, uh, workflows that can eliminate so many jobs.
Leaders Talk, Season 2.
Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome. It is your favorite time of the week. It's my favorite time of the week. It's time for Leaders Talk. And as always, I am your intrepid host, Andrew Dupe, head of communications here at Leaders Brands and host of the podcast. And with me today is Paramdeep Singh Saini. Now, Paramdeep leads enterprise scale transformations where complexity, legacy systems, and siloed teams often slow business projects. His focus, aligning architecture, engineering, and business priorities to accelerate delivery, improve stability, and unlock measurable outcomes across regulated, high-stakes environments. Over the past 15 years, he's led multi-million-dollar technology initiatives across financial services, retail services, healthcare, and in those services, he's delivered modernization, risk-ready design, and operational clarity at scale. He's built and restructured cross-functional teams, managed delivery organizations of over 200 plus personnel, and mentored senior architectures and engineering leads through periods of rapid change and pressure. And what has consistently set him apart is his leadership through transformation, bringing structure to ambiguity, creating space for others to lead, and embedding technical and cultural foundations needed to scale. Whether stabilizing core infrastructure or resetting delivery momentum, he focuses on building trust across businesses and empowering teams to execute with clarity and with confidence. Paramdeep, that's a really good introduction. But
Thanks for that.
well, you wrote it. but yeah, I mean, I think that's a interesting start. But yeah, let our audience know a little bit. Just go in a little more of a deep dive review about your background, just to kind of give them a helicopter view of who you are.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Andrew, first of all.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, it's more of a journey, hard to describe in just a few words or sentences, but I'll start. I started off my career as a software developer,
Right.
and I was always intrigued by the technology, and I've spoken that in the book as well, that the advancement in technology always, I was always driven towards it. I was really excited how times were changing so fast, and now we are in the next era of AI evolution,
Mm.
uh, before the cloud and the computers, and as we move closer to a Type 1 civilization on the Kardashev scale. Um, Me, I just like to bring something better and new into the world,
Yeah.
and that's why I chose um, this profession where with digital transformation you can do that over and over and again as much as you want, because there will always be advancement. We will
Mm.
always move towards advancement, and that's the reason why I chose to be in the tech space for the last 15 plus years. I've helped out organizations that have been using legacy systems or they're operating in silos, helping out use their resources efficiently,
Mm.
put it like that, and make sure how to adopt something new. So how do you change the mentality of the resources in the organization when you're trying to bring something new in? So that's what digital transformation is actually. At the end of the day, it's not about technology, it's how you adopt and implement something at scale first within an organization, and then you scale that either within the country or globally. That's just one liner of what digital transformation is. So yeah,
I
so
mean,
that's me.
this is an exciting time for digital transformation. In this business that I've been in now for 7 years, we were talking about 7 years ago, completely different concepts of what digital transformation meant compared to what it is now. And they were much smaller because the scale was much smaller. We were just talking about how are we going to transfer things to the cloud. Shout out to Kevin Jackson's book behind us. But at that stage, we were that was the kind of the bleeding edge of just moving material onto getting them out of their silos, getting them off of the hardware, getting them into software that was more accessible. But now we're just it's advanced so much farther than that. Kind of let our audience know from your expertise, what have been the things that have changed in the 15 years you've been in here that you've seen that basically has redefined digital transformation.
Absolutely. So I can go back even to my childhood when we used to play, these Nintendo games, and then first that changed
Oh yeah,
to,
I was there.
and we used to call, oh, CD games are out now, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's a CD and you play that, and then, computers came in. Of course, my father was always a geek himself, and he brought in a computer way before others in my network or even in my school had. So I was kind of privileged in that sense, to, always be ahead of the curve with technology. So I saw floppy disks. We used to use floppy disk to store something, and then by the time I passed out of college in 2010, we had cloud, Google Drive, Facebook was off the charts, and so I started my career in that era. When we moved to how everything was just changing on a daily basis, and it has just picked up the pace from that. It hasn't slowed down. It's gonna go way further than that. So so me i, I started off coding. I was not a coder. I didn't do my bachelor's in IT. I actually did it in electronics and communication. So but I always wanted, to understand coding. I loved coding just for the passion of it, and I tried that on the side. I excelled it in it. I came third in a placement drive that tested out codings, and that included IT folks and computer engineering people. So and that's where I understood that I'm really good into coding aspect. So I started off my career in IT, and it took off. Like it, I just was able to prove myself in the world, whichever company I joined. I was able to, you know, understand new technology that was given at that time, at that era, and my luck was that I always got to work on new emerging technologies, right? So that's what my pattern became. That whichever organization I went, I got to work on something that was new, cutting edge, that was just a couple of years old maybe. So um, so yeah, that's set the pace for me. I saw how people reacted when the practice head would try to bring something new, and how actual digital transformation I saw from developer to a leader is, how do you enable people's mindset around it? Actually, it's all about that, right? So even when we are talking about AI, and it has become buzzword, although we
Oh,
just have LLMs right now, and we have agents. It's all about agentic architecture. Um, we are still way far back, where these LLMs could be driving autonomous actions based on the voice inputs. There are simple actions available today, of course. You can order something out with your voice calls. You can have a large data retrieved from a large data set based on your commands. But true digital transformation in the space of AI would be, you actually have robots living with humans, and we might call them humanoid, right? So they would mimic the intelligence of human behavior, and actually do things, not just in a software mode, but software combined with hardware to actually drive the benefits. We have the cars available today, Tesla and others, that are autonomous driving, but it hasn't gone beyond the regulatory aspects of the countries that we are implementing in. Like, for example, a Tesla may not work in a third world country where the roads are not properly defined, where you'll have issues with the traffic going in 360 degree all the time. So what it takes is how do you change the mindset of mass population or people within an organization to something you're trying to bring in or pitching an idea. So it goes back to that only. Some people will always reject it because they think, they were living a normal life and suddenly you throw a stone in the water and they don't want change. People are scared of change, right? So that's where change management comes in, and digital transformation is nothing but managing how people would respond to something you bring in new. That is what it is.
And I imagine it's becoming more difficult. I mean, I grew up, I believe we talked about this when we actually had our pre-interview in Dallas. My father worked for Control Data, and at that time, digital transformation meant, what he worked for the Dallas Cowboys, he worked for the Dallas Police Department, just transferring their physical material, that they'd written down onto data. And that was digital transformation at the time, moving it to magnetic tape, moving it to those kind of servers. That was a thing that really decades of that. We it just got smaller. We went from the big reels to the large floppy disks to the 5 1/4s to the 3 1/2s, and then finally onto hard drives. But now things are just progressing so much more rapidly. I mean, again, not more than 5 or 6 years ago, we weren't looking at AI. We weren't thinking that you were going to have necessarily a co-pilot that you could talk to. I mean,
Right.
we're in Star Trek now. You watch the original series of Star Trek in the 1960s, and they say computer, and the computer talks to them, and you think in the 1990s we were thinking, well, where's their monitor? They didn't really get this. That's not how things are going to be. But no, we caught up to that very
Right.
quickly,
Right.
and now what you're saying is we're moving the 100 years past that to where we got Mr. Data, and to we got to we've got that. So I mean, it's got to be jarring for business leaders, even ones who are tech savvy and are tech forward, to have this kind of change this quickly, this rapidly, and to the point where we're almost to the point where our imagination is done.
Right.
What's
Absolutely.
next?
You think and it's done. Right. So,
Yeah.
and that's where we're going, right? That's so, and back to your point, that is doing the actual physical transformation of something, of a product, of an idea. That is definitely one aspect of digital transformation, right? Like,
Right.
and COVID actually accelerated that. I
Mm.
think, yeah, there are events in the laws of the universe that just pushes you in a direction much farther than you would have wanted to go, right? So, but ultimately, at the end of the day, is about, you can have paper processes converted to, online workflows. You can have these devices and gadgets give you real time, heart rate and health information. You might even have devices in the future you can just go and start and give you the entire landscape of your, health, whether you have cancer, whether you're prone to cancer, right? There would be so much advancement, of course, down the line that these things will be possible. But it's the second aspect is where, I'm trying to also focus on. The first aspect is good. It's a toy given to a child. Oh, I'm going to do something with it, right? And they're excited and passionate people who just want to do something and bring something new. But then and that's where they're leaders, but then you have to complete the process of adoption.
Mm.
So if you're not able to, like, people say that Nikola Tesla was a brilliant mind, right? And he is, but he wasn't able to scale like his inventions, right? He wasn't able to. Yes, there were other political issues, but he wasn't able to scale what he did. Apart from, of course, uh, the the alternating current motor that he.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but apart from that, and you had another person at the same time who did much less than what Nikola would have done, but he was successful, right? So what happens is, and this is true, this analogy is true even today. Like, you have brilliant minds in the labs of the greatest organizations out there, even startups, but then you need actual people, business leaders, to use the inventions that they are creating to take it to the masses and shape the entire globe around that, right? So,
Yeah.
so some people are really good with just going deep into technology and, they may be brilliant minds in the world, but then how do you enable that to so that even a normal person, sitting in a cafe is able to say that, okay, I'm part of this digital transformation. And this
Mhm.
is what happens in the organization too. You can think something in a silo, you can think something at a very high level, but I consider a company to be, fully on the digital transformation journey when they have adopted it fully in the organization.
Mhm.
And I have stories, I can say I've been part of a digital transformation that, you always don't have successes, you also have
Right.
some learnings, right? And I had a few learnings myself, and that's why I've mentioned about that in the book as well. Why sometimes it's not the minds, it's the people who are resistant to change can halt the digital transformation in the organization. So it's really organizations need to understand you need to take care of that ahead of time
Mhm.
rather than in the middle of it. So and organizations have paid a huge price when they don't do that. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's something that I hear very regularly that you have to right now being ahead of everything is basically being on time
Right,
because we're moving so quickly that if you're not thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead, you're
right,
essentially being stagnant. So
exactly,
yeah.
right. Or you may even pull people down who wants to do the right thing, right? So and maybe consciously, maybe not consciously, but it is the human behavior to and you have majority of the population resisting to change, that sometimes people who are running fast and you have so many people tied to you that sometimes they just slow you down, right? So it's understanding how we can help increase the speed of the people that you are leading, because a leader can't just run alone, right? Like then everyone can be fast, right? And everyone can be Usain Bolt, but okay, not everyone can be but uh,
I
but But even if Usain Bolt has so much weight behind it, like he won't be the fastest runner, right? So you need to make sure that the weight that the leaders are carrying is contributing to the force in the same direction, not in the opposite direction. That's where change will stall and ideas fail, and you know progress also stops. So yeah.
Well, that's where you need team building, and that's where I think that a lot of people are concerned with. Well, what are these changes going to do to business? What are these changes going to do to workers? And in many cases, there's some scary questions to be asked. I know that I've read the Project 2027, which is kind of both doom and gloom and positive. It has a little bit of both that are kind of mixed in. But there's the idea as well, though, that with these changes, yes, there's going to be things that are going to be automated, but we're going to need the human element to come in to be able to help us streamline these automatizations, to create new automatizations, to help with actually being able to scale. So, do you have a positive or do you have a negative or do you have an undecided outlook on what this is going to do to the standard American workforce or even the world workforce? Sorry, I don't want to be US centric here.
I think it's not a straight answer.
Right. That's what I figured.
It's like a circle. You might end up where you started, but I'll still try. So I think people need to understand that um, things will always change, regardless. And I think
Yeah.
what is scaring people is, am I going to be able to afford my mortgage? Am I able to afford my house if I lose my job? Like, are they taking our job? Like, is the narrative that is being thrown out there the right narrative for the people, right? For the masses? Is
Mm.
it the correct narrative? There's no right and wrong answers, because okay, Amazon just announced another head of layoff that they're going to do. And then you also have so many layoffs happening in the space. But layoffs have always been happening. I think people need to understand that. It's just because of the element tied to, yeah, and yes, you are cutting workforce. Like there's no denying it. It is cutting workforce. People in the organizations, leaders are moving towards AI chatbots, AI related, call center supports, AI related workflows that can eliminate so many jobs. From their perspective, they're eliminating roles that were not required or redundant. Now, it's not the problem of the resource. They don't need to feel that way that they are just being thrown out in the frenzy to look for something and care for them. But for them, from their standpoint, um, what am I going to do? Am I going to be on the street? Do I need to sell my home? Like, where do my savings go? Like, it's all the different aspects that make us human and which we need to be there. You sometimes perform your best when you are sometimes with the loss of fear, right? Of losing something. You perform your best sometimes, and what it does is it gives the society that adrenaline maybe, or that fear that it needs to either come out of the comfort zone that some people have gone into, or it just makes people wonder what is going to happen. But that was always the case when 70s, 80s, and the early 2000s was happening, right? It's just the mass of news is spreading like this, that you're more scared than ever,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
I,
that everyone gets to know everything in an instant. So
mhm.
that is good for things you can control the masses with that, but then it's also not good because you're not able to control the narrative they may go into. So so the short answer is um, there is going to be a lot of hue and cry, right? Like there is going to be that, and it's not a perfect world. Um, it's not a fair world either, right? So I think people, and that's what, and I lead by example. That's what I do. Like what I did is I was in love with the financial industry and I wanted to understand the insurance industry a little bit more. Although I'm a technology leader, I'm actually going to join an organization as a VP of technology in the next few weeks. Um, but what I do is, and what I would suggest is to have some sort of a passion career as well on the side. And I would love that people should have their passion in the job. But if people want some sort of, psychological safety, I don't know if that's a word you should even use. I feel that, it just takes out the survival instincts of a human. We are becoming too soft these days. But, anyways, the psychological safety, people should diversify their uh, portfolio of both income and investments, right? So that it's easy for them to look back and say, okay, I do have some sort of a backup, right? And I have something to do even if I lose my job. What that does is it triggers you in the direction where you are not fearful coming to work every day, right? So that is a starting point for people who, you know, probably want more of a stable life, right? And there's people that would like to always, be on the edge. It doesn't matter to them. They believe in themselves so much that even if they lose a job with AI, they can, turn things around, right? So technology advancement has always taken jobs, created jobs as well, removed roles as well, and changed businesses. So people need to understand that this is going to happen. They need to make sure that they spend some time out of their schedule to always be prepared for what's coming next,
Yeah.
so that it
Yeah.
doesn't hit you like hitting a brick wall suddenly, right? So, but you don't need to be living in fear all the time either.
Yeah.
So I think it's the job of the world leaders to have those governance in place that allows people to transition into the new technology, new business model, new ways of working, and give them some time to adapt while the innovation and invention is taking its pace, with full speed. So it's two different worlds, and if we think about every human being carries a universe in them, it's like that's why it's infinite universes within the planet. I consider that. Um, so you need to bring all those together, all those universes together, um, to be able to move ahead in a pace that is both adopted well within the industry with people, but also you don't want to stall the brilliant minds that are doing hard work to bring something out new. And what they see from their perspective is people getting scared. So it's not fair to them either. So it's an ecosystem, right? And people need to be part of that ecosystem, and and just wake up every day, you know, thinking that you're either going to do something new today, learn something new, and that helps to change the brain a lot, to be honest. I think that's what helps. If you
Yeah.
read a little bit every day, it's your brain changes. Over a period of 6 months to a year, you will notice significant change in your own thought process. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think about it from that perspective. As a guy who taught history for several decades, I've seen this before. It's just it happened a lot more slowly, and it happened like you say. It didn't happen with the media telling us about it all the time. I mean, we had the transition from horse-drawn carriages to cars. We had the
yeah,
transition into computers. The typists and that were working on typewriters had to go into different perspectives. Yeah, the Connecticut Leather Company became a video game manufacturer called Coleco. I mean, they survived before, and I feel like you that with the right kind of mindset and training, you can survive now, and that these kind of changes can help us and can actually be things that assist us in figuring out what we can do, which is unusual compared to the previous because our new automobile wasn't going to tell us what to do, but AI might
absolutely.
have alternatives that it can come up with that we don't even think about once it's developed to that point. Um,
Right.
as much as we could go down a rabbit hole in this for a while, I kind of want you to talk as we kind of wrap up here. Just let the audience know a little bit about your book, why you wrote it, and exactly when they can get it.
The reason why I wrote it, of course, the answer is twofold. One, I always wanted to, as part of my journey, and I was always thinking when to start that journey, and that's a dilemma. That's a dilemma I had for a long time. But the second piece is it talks about my journey from being a developer at one point to becoming a leader in the organization and leading other people. What are my lessons learned through the process of digital transformation, what people can get out of it. That resilience at the end of the day is your best friend,
Yeah,
right? And grit and determination is the more you build in it, the more it'll help you to cross that change we just talked about. So I wanted to make sure that it all aligns with why I actually wrote in the very first place. It doesn't talk too much about all the successes, but I've even talked about some learnings that I had from one of my digital transformation journey, and what not to do moving forward, of course. How make sure that people can learn something from it, and how you can achieve uh, something that they really want to do if they set their vision on it. It's not a one day thing. You can't just wake up and say, I just want to be something. So it's more about, it talks a little bit about the micro habits that I have incorporated in my life and that help me to move in a certain direction with clarity and determination. And I think it'll help people understand how to build those habits in their own life and move in the direction they want to go. It'll provide them clarity, of course.
Fantastic. And how can our audience find out more about you?
Well, of course, you can search me on LinkedIn. That's my one-stop shop. And you can reach out to me, set up some time with me if you want to, because I'm also a financial advisor with the World Financial Group. Although they rather want me to use the term insurance advisor because I don't have my CFP yet, so I can't myself call a financial advisor. But but yeah, that's a place people can reach out to me. I can talk to anyone that reaches out to me for any help, guidance, coaching, mentorship, and I learn more from others than I actually learn myself.
That's let our audience in you in a little secret. That's why I do what I do here. I have 7 years of picking brains, and I enjoy doing it all the time.
Amazing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, those links are down below. Go ahead and follow that. Parandeep, we'll probably have you back on soon. I mean, I want to kind of revisit this because this is a big subject, and I don't think it's coverable in one episode. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll look back, have some time to get that out and have people read it, and then we'll come back and revisit.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank
Have a good
you.
day. Bye.
Great. Thanks for being here.